So good morning to all of you. We have with us Udhav I have circulated the information. He is conducting this workshop on the scientific wisdom of Vedanta. I am meeting with the people very first time today. I have been organizing talks related to different aspects of Indian psychology, counseling, personal growth, etc. And there is an organization connected with the Sri Aurobindo ashram, not connected in the sense of it's not officially part of the ashram, it's called the Sri Aurobindo Society. And they monthly circulars come on the mailing list. So about a month back, I read that Udhav had conducted a workshop, one-day workshop, and she went to Kesha College. And it was on the two key themes, it was on Vedanta, but the two key themes that I noted there was, one was service, facilitator of service, and which is, I think, close for us, because we do want to help, we do want to reach out, we don't know exactly how and to what extent, what should that be motivated by. And the other thing is, they mentioned Swadharma. So there were these two key terms, and apparently the link was putting forward was that through service you are likely to discover your Swadharma, which is quite fascinating. But I think in the Gita that idea is there in many essential ways. But I've never seen it put in the way that Udhav put it. So I go to the person I know, Shankaracharya at the Sri Aurobindo Society, who is a Sanskrit scholar and director for Indian culture related activity. I requested his email, Udhav's email. But he said that he is with us, part of the society, he is an empiric speaker, so I will request him. And so things fell in place as we have Udhav with us. And many of the events that I organize, it's not that I plan them much in advance. But over the years I have noticed that the things which are needed, the kind of input that students are looking for, and if I have paid attention to it, अपने आप कुछ ऐसे इवेंट्स होते हैं कि वो हो जाता है. अभी अब आखिरी एक दो वर्कशॉप और मुझे सजेस्ट मुझे याद है कि किसी ने, जबकि मैंने काउंसलिंग में पढ़ाया है योगा इन द सेंस ऑफ पतंजलि योग सूत्र पूरा सेमेस्टर मैंने पढ़ाया है सेमेस्टर. बट आई वाज यूजिंग अ टेक्स्ट रिटन बाय स्वामी राम एंड एन अमेरिकन क्लिनिकल साइकोलॉजिस्ट और ऑल्सो ऑर्डिनेटर स्वामी अजय. तो मैंने वो तो किया था, लेकिन उसका शायद उतना इम्पैक्ट नहीं पड़ा फॉर सम रीजन, या जो अभी आया है वो बहुत नहीं था. फोर्थ सेमेस्टर वाले पहले ईयर में एक्सपोज थे, सेकंड वाले नहीं एक्सपोज थे. लेकिन वो बोल रहे थे कि आइडिया तो सब पढ़ेंगे तो थेरेपी से कैसे जोड़ेंगे साइड. तो मैंने कहा मैं तो घर को बात कर सकता हूँ, लेकिन ऐसा है कि अमेरिकन आ गए प्रोफेसर स्टीफन पार्कर, वो भी स्वामी राम के रहते थे और वो बताएंगे आपको. और अमेरिकन आके बोलेगा तो फिर तो आपको लगेगा कि हाँ योगा है, साइकोलॉजी से रिलेटेड है, तो फिर बढ़िया चीज़ कही जा सकती है. ठीक है, कहीं से भी आएगा अच्छी बात आती है तो क्या है. हमारा ऐसा माइंड सेट है कि वेस्ट से लोग कहते हैं हाँ जरूर इसमें कुछ है, चलो ठीक है, वो लोग आके कहेंगे. वो आ रहे 29 को उनका योगा चाहिए. So already taken your time, so I will request that you can tell a little bit about the background, since I can be terroristic to any information that I got. So I will come there to the target on behalf of all the faculty and the students. Namaskar. Thank you, Suneet, for this nice introduction. And good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to the workshop. And with the blessings of Sri Aurobindo and the mothers, I would like to begin the workshop.
About my background, I don't have any background in psychology. I did my BCom from the university. After that, I studied advertising at IIMC, which is part of JNU. And after that, I was working for a few years. First in PR, then in marketing. And eventually I came to Vedanta. I would say my divine providence. And so I've been studying Vedanta for the past 2 years. First at Swami Dayananda Ashram in Rishikesh, who are in the tradition of Adi Shankaracharya. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with the word Advaita Vedanta. Is anyone familiar with this term? So after that I came to Sri Aurobindo Ashram in Delhi. And so I've been studying there as well, in the guidance of teachers, Dr. Kishwani, Dr. Shankaracharya. And Vedanta is something that I found has immense value in our lives, and especially for young people. Especially for young people, bright students like you, who are devoted to the study of the mind, devoted to the study of human life. And Vedanta has a lot to give to you all. And as sir was just saying that कि वेस्ट से आता है तो हम सोचते हैं कि उसमें ज़रूर कुछ बात होगी, और अपनी ही घर की चीज़ है वेदांता, उसको हम शायद इतना ध्यान से नहीं पढ़ते। और तो आज मेरी कोशिश रहेगी कि मैं आपको इंडियन पर्सपेक्टिव दूँ ऑन द माइंड। So I don't have any background in psychology, but I have background in Vedanta, and Vedanta can help you a great deal in understanding the mind, in understanding human nature, your life, and I think it will help you in your study. And one thing I would like to request you all is that during the presentation, be very attentive, follow everything and ask questions. Okay, give me arguments, and there will be time during the workshop where I will pause and take your questions. So give me questions, give me arguments, because Vedanta is logical. I'll present logic before you. So give me logical arguments based on your knowledge of psychology. Okay? So, when I was thinking, what do I talk about to you all? So I thought that human mind is a great thing. It's perhaps the most important aspect of our lives. The kind of life that we lead depends upon the kind of mind that we have. So, understanding the mind is very important. And because what is the aim of our life? What is our life all about? How do we lead our life? All this is determined by the mind. Every day we face so many situations in our surroundings. So many things happen around us. How do we understand them? How do we interpret them? And how do we respond to them? That determines our well-being. And our physical well-being as well. Our health is also largely dependent upon the mind. So mind is a very important thing. And it's important that it functions correctly. When I say that The mind needs to function correctly. What do I mean? I mean something very specific. The mind needs to understand who am I and what is my relationship with others, with the world around me. On this basis, will it decide what should it do, what is the purpose, how should it respond to various situations, on the basis of this knowledge. Who am I? What is this world all about? What is my relationship with others, with the world? And this is the subject matter of Vedanta. Who am I? The self, the universe, the cause of the universe, and the relationship between the three. If this relationship is not understood correctly, then I will lead a life which is misguided. I will respond to situations incorrectly, and as a result, there will be suffering. So you study a lot about human suffering. In psychology, you study about human suffering, the suffering of the mind. Every day, I think all of us have to undergo some amount of suffering, in some proportion, in some degree. Whether it is sadness, whether it is dissatisfaction with our life, whether it is failure, anger, fear, anxiety, various forms of suffering that we have to deal with in our everyday life. What is the cause of it all? The answer that Vedanta gives is that the cause of all human suffering is our ignorance. Ignorance about myself. Who am I? Who am I, and what is my relationship with others, with the world? It is because I am ignorant about this basic fundamental understanding that I suffer. And I suffer every day. So, Vedanta very unambiguously says that the cause of all human suffering, A to Z, is ignorance. Let us examine why this is. How can it be so? So we have a way of analyzing things, and there is a methodology, and I will present to you that methodology. First, let's look at what is our life all about at present. At present, if you look at your life, what is it all about? Think about the general people, the general population. What is their life all about? So I have tried to put it all down on one slide. The various pursuits that we engage in our life, various activities that we do in our life. The first pursuit is the pursuit of wealth, income. The job that we do, the profession that we choose, is largely dependent upon how much income would I get, what will be my earning from it. It's a big consideration for most people. Wealth is a very fundamental pursuit of most human beings. Even those who have enough wealth pursue more wealth, perhaps to maintain the wealth that they have. So wealth is the first pursuit of our lives. Then with wealth we need objects, various material possessions. We need things to survive, things to live. So pursuit of objects is another pursuit. And not only do we want objects, we want a specific style of objects. So we are not only pursuing possessions, we are pursuing a certain lifestyle. So pursuing an object would be pursuing a house, a place to live. Pursuing a lifestyle would be a house in a certain location, a certain locality, with a certain address, with a certain view. That's also something that we are pursuing. Right? Pursuing an object would be just pursuing a phone, and pursuing a lifestyle would be pursuing an iPhone. And that is why we engage in action for lifestyle, for social status. In everything that we do, we try to maintain a certain image of which aspect, which part of society we belong to. So social status is another very fundamental pursuit of all our lives. We pursue positions in any field, whether it is education or corporate or government, any field you go, people are pursuing positions. Right? The junior manager wants to become the senior manager wants to become the director wants to become the chairman. These are pursuits of our lives. And we are pursuing relationships. Right? Very fundamental and important pursuit of our life. As young people, we are pursuing friendships, romantic relationships, and as we grow older, our pursuit for relationships only increases. Right? Parents want their children to get married. They want a son-in-law or a daughter-in-law to come. Then they want some grandchildren. So they want more relationships. And we are trying to maintain our relationships and pursue more relationships. This is a very important pursuit of our life. And we are pursuing experiences, pleasurable experiences. In everything that we do, from morning to night, we are pursuing pleasure. The food that we eat, the places that we go, we are pursuing pleasurable experiences. Right? Now, let me ask you, instead of this. So, let me ask you, why are we doing all this? Why are we doing all this? For what?
live a comfortable life.
To live a comfortable life, okay.
We're seeking pleasure.
We're seeking pleasure.
To have a sense of identity.
Have a sense of identity.
Happiness.
Happiness, right?
Pursuing happiness.
Pursuing happiness.
To create a certain lifestyle around us in our life.
And what does that give us?
That gives us something to live for.
Satisfaction. Something
Maybe
to live
not
for.
exactly satisfaction, but something to live for.
Something to live for.
You're looking forward to something, right?
We're looking forward to something, and so we are engaging in all these pursuits. So, if you think about it, something to live for, or wanting something so that I have something to live for, is the pursuit. And what does it essentially give us is, as Sir said, is happiness or satisfaction. Nobody does anything in which they don't find happiness. Right? We're searching for happiness in all these pursuits. Our happiness, our satisfaction, our peace, these are the goals of our lives. We might be doing very different things with our lives. All of us are engaged in many different things. But our common aims with all these pursuits is happiness, satisfaction, peace. These are some common aims with all these pursuits. So I've put it here. Now, the irony of our life is that even though all our actions are for pursuing happiness, for pursuing our satisfaction, yet so much of our life is the opposite. So much of our life is suffering. So there is a disconnect. There's a disconnect between what we are aiming for and what we are actually getting. Right? Now, Vedanta wants us to examine this issue. And it says that first examine certain presumptions about yourself, certain presumptions that you have made about your own self when you are engaging in all these pursuits. What have we assumed about ourselves when we are engaging in the pursuit for, say, position? The presumption that I have made is that I am unhappy right now, and when I will become the director, I will be happy. I will be fulfilled. Right? If I am pursuing relationships, I am thinking that I am unfulfilled right now, and when I will have that person in my life, I will be fulfilled. Right? So, the presumption that we have made about ourselves, Vedanta says, is that I am lacking. I am lacking in something, and when I will have that, I will become happy. When I will get it, I will become fulfilled. I consider myself a wanting person. I need something, someone, some experience to feel fulfilled, to feel happy. There is a sense of inadequacy. There is an unbearable sense of inadequacy. And to overcome this sense of inadequacy, this sense of wanting, we are doing everything that we are doing. This is how Vedanta puts it. So, Vedanta says that in one line, what we are doing is we are searching for freedom. We are searching for freedom from our sense of lack, our sense of inadequacy, our sense of wanting. Vedanta says, moksha. Moksha me bhuyad. May I be free. There is this overpowering sense of inadequacy. And to free myself from it, I pursue what I pursue. Think about it. Now, do I get what I'm looking for? Partially, yes. These pursuits are not totally useless. For the time being, when I have them, I feel happy. Temporarily, they relieve us. They give us a sense of freedom. Temporarily. But not permanent. What we are looking for is permanence. Permanent happiness. Permanent freedom from the sense of inadequacy. We think that when I will have that, I will be fulfilled, and I will be fulfilled forever. But what happens is, one pursuit is over, another pursuit begins. Another pursuit is over, another pursuit begins. Why does this another pursuit begin? Because I am still lacking, I'm still wanting, and I still need something to fulfill myself. So I'm searching for freedom continuously, and none of these pursuits are able to give me that. This unsatisfied, inadequate person remains as he is through all these pursuits. He remains as he is.
So, would you call
Yes.
this inadequacy to be a social given or biologically, like, predetermined to be
Sorry,
inadequate?
what?
Like, would you call this inadequacy to be a social construction or a social given, or is it more like you're born like that?
Okay. Partially, it's a social construct. Because a lot of things that I said, like lifestyle or social status or even relationships for that matter, we are pursuing them because we see others pursuing them. And we are sort of tuned into or programmed that way, that you need to have this, you need to have this, you need to have this, and therefore you are engaged in those pursuits. But partially, fundamentally, the human nature is such that it is searching for freedom. It is searching for fulfillment outside. That is the fundamental human nature. Right? So partially it is a social construct. Where do we search for happiness and fulfillment is the social construct. But we are searching for it. Right? Today the social construct tells us to pursue them in certain things. Tomorrow the social construct will tell them to pursue in another type of things. So 2000 years back, people were pursuing more religious sort of pursuits for fulfillment. They were pursuing, a king would pursue an Ashwamedh Yajna for his fulfillment, and today an Ambani would pursue a jet plane for his fulfillment. So that's the social construct.
Are you saying that happiness is synonymous to fulfillment?
Happiness is?
Is synonymous to fulfillment?
Happiness and fulfillment are similar, are similar. Once you are so once you are fulfilled, you feel happy. Once you are wanting, what is happiness? Happiness is when I am not a wanting person anymore. The moment I am not a wanting person anymore, I feel happy. The moment there is the seeker and the sought relationship is resolved, I feel happy.
Not everybody is seeking happiness. I believe that messages are looking for pain in that case, but then they feel fulfilled when they receive pain.
Right. So messages, even in their pursuit, they are pursuing a certain different kind of happiness, I would say. If they don't pursue that, they will be unhappy. Right? So, and as Sir said, it's an exception. We're talking about the larger population. Right? Okay. So, moving on, I thought I would present you some research. So, because modern psychology needs research.
Yes, we are more convinced by research.
Yes. So I did a course to prepare for this lecture. I did a course. I did a course in positive psychology, and it's a course which is available online. It's by the Harvard professor Carl Ben Shahar. And do you do positive psychology?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So there is a professor by the name of Tal Ben-Shahar who takes a lot from Eastern thought, from Buddhism, from meditation. And it was a good course, 30-hour course. And he presented some wonderful research on happiness. And it was amazing to find that modern research is confirming what Vedanta has already said. Modern research says that happiness achieved from objects, from position, from income is short-lived. So he gave an example. He did a research himself. He did a research with various professors at Harvard University who were expecting their tenure to be extended. So they have a system of tenure over there, and they were waiting for their tenure to be extended. And they were eagerly waiting. So he interviewed them, and he asked them, how will you feel when you get the tenure? So they said, ecstatic, extremely happy. And then he said, okay, for how long will you be happy? So they said, forever. Because I've been working all my life for this. Of course, I'll be happy and fulfilled forever. So he said, okay. Then some of them got the tenure, some of them did not get the tenure, and he interviewed them again. So those who got the tenure, as predicted, were ecstatic, on the top of the world. Those who did not get the tenure were depressed, sad. Right? After a month, he interviewed both groups again. Now, astonishingly, those who had got the tenure and those who had not got the tenure, for both of them, their level of happiness had come down to the same level. Right? This position that they were working for all their life gave them happiness, made them feel fulfilled, but for a while. Right? So I have research. According to some studies, a negative correlation has been found between material possessions and life satisfaction, such as the study titled Meta-analysis of the relationships between happiness, materialism, and spirituality. So this was also an interesting study which I read, that there can be a negative correlation. Why? Because the study proposes that materially oriented people may be continually dissatisfied with their lives since their material goals constantly outpace them. So you achieve one thing today, and there is something better waiting. There is something better always waiting. So there is the fear of, there is the cause of being continually dissatisfied with your life. People who attach their happiness to external things and material wealth are always in danger of losing their happiness if their material circumstances change. This is another study. So, we are either pursuing to get something or to maintain what we have. Right? Yoga, Shema. These are the two terms that Vedanta uses. Covers everything. Either to get something or to maintain what we have. This was a nice quote by Professor Michael Norton, who teaches at Harvard in MBA. And he does a lot of research on subjective well-being. And he says, wealthy individuals, whether worth $1 million or $10 million, are not happier as their wealth increases. In fact, it's possible that adding money may actually lead to experiencing less happiness. So this is based on research. Now, what does Vedanta propose as a solution? What is Vedanta's solution for this fundamental human problem? Vedanta's solution is very simple. And what is the solution? The solution is know yourself. You are already free. You don't need to engage in all these pursuits to free yourself, to achieve happiness, to achieve fulfillment. You are not a lacking person. You are not a wanting person. Happiness is intrinsic to your nature. Recognize that. Vedanta says, I am the whole. Purna. I am not lacking in anything. I am the whole. Neither am I a limited person. And we will examine this at length today. How am I limitless? We will examine this. Right now, you may think, how can I be limitless? Vedanta shows us how you are limitless. You don't need anything external to feel fulfilled, to feel happy. You are happy as you are, and you have to recognize that. That is the only solution. This is a quote by Sri Aurobindo. The ordinary man depends upon outward things for his happiness. Therefore he has desire. Therefore he has anger and passion, pleasure and pain, joy and grief. The sign of the divine worker, he uses the word divine, is a perfect inner joy and peace which depends upon nothing in the world for its source or its continuance. It is innate. It is the very nature of divine being. So he says we are all divine. How are we divine? We'll see that today. So to summarize what we have said so far, the cause of my suffering is ignorance about myself. Due to ignorance, I have presumed that the nature of myself is unhappiness and and fulfillment, I have presumed that I am lacking and wanting. To free myself from the state of lack and inadequacy, I do what I do in my life. All my life I am searching for freedom without even knowing it. But my life's pursuits cannot give me the permanent freedom that I am seeking. The only solution is overcoming the ignorance about myself and knowing myself as I am, as intrinsically happy and fulfilled person. That is the only solution of our suffering. Right? So now, I would like you all to reflect on what I have said for just a couple of minutes. Then we'll take some questions and then we'll move on. Okay, so in silence, just reflect on what I have said. This is important. Right. So, any questions before we move on? Yes.
Take the mic. Okay. Keep the mic close.
Okay, so how do we experience that I am free, I am fulfilled, and I am the whole?
We'll come to that. That's the next thing that we'll do. Yes.
My question is, you have talked about ignorance as the root cause of suffering, right? You said that ignorance is the root cause of suffering.
Yes.
So how Vedanta address ignorance as the root cause of suffering in keeping pace with the notion of self?
It introduces us to who we are. It gives us the knowledge of ourselves. And that is how it addresses.
The thing is that unless until we cannot address the ignorance at the root of suffering in keeping pace with the notion of self, how can we really say that ignorance acts as the root cause of suffering? Because we have to define ignorance in keeping pace with the notion of self, right? Unless until we will not become clear with notion of self, how can we really understand and experience ignorance? So that's my question. Because in psychology, last time we were attempting.
Good question.
Yeah.
Very good question. I exist and I don't need any proof for that. Right? But what am I really? Okay. My understanding of myself is limited to something. What is it? To this body? To this mind? Right? Is it the full understanding? Is it the correct understanding? That we have to see. So yes, the notion of ignorance can only arise when I have the notion of self. I think that's what you're saying? Yes? Very good question. So the notion of ignorance can only arise when I have the notion of self, but I don't know clearly the self. Okay? Yes.
What is important, I think, we must also reflect along with these thoughts I think these are the positions. Primarily, these are the positions that I'm ignorant, I'm wanting, and I need freedom. These are the positions in life as such. We want to be there, but at the same time, we want to elevate from there also. I think the study of psychology, what really personally has helped me to understand from other fields is psychology is a very distinguished field in one way to talk about the processes. This is the only field which not only talks about the positions, along with the position talks about the processes involved in it to reach from one point to, so it's a more of a journey. It's a journey. So my interest in understanding these philosophical notions, these are very important philosophical fundamental positions because many things arise in our life because of such difficulties and mainly the positions and inequalities and that. But what is important is we must also reflect on the processes because psychology must be contributed with the Indian thought, with the Eastern thought, what they are really offering and in the means of processes. So if you can talk more about it, I think it will be very helpful.
Thank you, sir. That was a very good comment. And there are two portions of Vedanta. The first portion is Brahma Vidya, which is the nature of myself. The second portion is Yoga Shastra, which is the process of knowing myself. So before the lunch, we'll be talking about the nature of self. After the lunch, we'll come to the nature of mind and how do we engage in life so that we know ourselves. So the process will be covered. Right. But we have to wait for it. Yes.
Okay, so the basic question is that I am free. So I feel this is also an experience. This experience as peak experience. It cannot be a static experience. So because at present, if I feel I'm free, after that, what would be the motive of living? So when I'm feeling that I'm limitless, then I have to do something in my life. So I don't get the point of like the happiness we are talking about, true happiness, when I am free. So is it possible to actually have that feeling, or is it like only the peak experiences?
Good question. So firstly, it's not about a peak experience that we are going to talk about. We're talking about knowledge. Okay. Gita says, knowledge is the best purifier. Okay. So once you know something, then you know it forever. So if you've removed your ignorance, then you've removed it forever. Peak experience is you have it and then you lose it. Right? So if in that experience you also have knowledge, you also attain self-knowledge, then it maintains. Then that knowledge maintains. Right? And the second question is that what will be my motive to act after that? If I am fulfilled, I am happy, I am free, then what will be my motive to act? And that is covered when we talk about dharma. Dharma will be the motive to act. Right? So we talk about that.
So sir, is it there a possibility that we can feel? So is there any possibility that we can feel that we are not ignorant about the self and yet we have feeling of achievement in something?
Sorry, please can you ask it again?
So the question is that I have what the feeling of ignorance is, that when we realize what we are and what the others are and the relationship. So when I realize that, and it keeps on changing. So once this is happening, if I'm conscious about that, and then is it that are we still focused about achieving something, or is it not that still we are ignoring something?
Right. So once you know yourself, right, and we will see this in great detail, that after you know yourself, then what is your pursuit? Then how do you engage in life? Right? So you will see that. What is the motive? What is the way of action?
Sir, can you conceptualize ignorance? Isn't ignorance, isn't liberation more about, doesn't liberation come from ignorance also? Like, what is actually ignorance? Not caring about things, or I'm not getting the concept of ignorance, because liberation comes when you don't care, like according to Buddhist psychology, when you don't pay attention to the petty things in life and you rise above it. That's what liberation is all about. So here also ignorance is a part of liberation.
Okay, ignorance means, if I ask you, okay, answer me. If I ask you, how would you define yourself? Tell me, how would you define yourself?
Obviously, my definition would be based on the social construct, like I'm a student of psychology, studying here.
Right. And?
It depends on what terms you want me to define
No,
myself.
in any way, the way you think about yourself.
The way I think about myself.
Yes.
Can you be a bit specific?
So, for example, if you are to stand here and introduce yourself, what would you say?
Well, my name is Preeti. I'm a student of psychology studying in Delhi University. I'm originally from Uttarakhand. I live in Gurgaon. And yeah, I like Indian psychology.
Good. So, all that you have said is related to this body and this mind, right? Our knowledge, our education, our likes and dislikes are all related to the mind, and our experience or our age or our, where I come from, where I live, is all related to the body. And that is all that we consider ourselves as. This is ignorance. Okay. Is there more to me? That we have to find. And if there is, then what is it? Knowing that is overcoming your ignorance. Right? Yes. This body and mind is limited. Limited by time and space. It has a birth and a death. Right? It has a form. So it is limited by time and space. What you have to know about yourself is that which is beyond. Yes.
This is one more question. Picking up from there, what you said, the ignorance. What is important, I think, we must respond to the fear. I'm ignorant because I'm fearful also. Yeah, I'm ignorant because I'm fearful. So how much I can, whether the person is really talking about, yes, I'm ignorant, yet I'm knowing about it. Let me complete.
Yeah.
It is important for us to know, for example, in this situation, what is the example? I'm sorry, may I take up as an example what is it?
Yeah, yes.
She did define herself, but again it has come into the realm of not knowing. So how much is a private, for example, self is private or public? Can I be really public with my private self? What about that fear? What about this hesitation? What about those aspects? I think we must respond to the aspects of fear related to ignorance, and yet knowing it, yet not knowing, and how much I can really know later on.
Okay. So, yeah, this one is not good. So, firstly, I would say that fear is because of ignorance, not the other way around. But what you are saying, technically, but what you're saying is about if someone asks to introduce themselves, how much of their self will they reveal, and how much should they reveal, or how much can they reveal. So that's a good question, and that's a good discussion that we can enter into. My motive in asking the question is to just get a sense of how we think about ourselves. Right? Yes.
This is a query.
Yeah.
Fear itself is also a part of the process, and also the
fear of knowing myself.
Yeah, fear of also knowing myself and how much I can really talk about myself. In the sense, can I really witness? For example, when I'm saying I'm public, I'm right now taking a position with you, that it means that I'm taking a position in front of so many people. So what about that aspect? The courage, for example, it comes from how much can I really talk about it? Can I really talk about this much? Should I really move much more beyond?
Actually, we are not talking about any subjective aspect of ourselves, such as, for example, I am interested in classical music, for example, and I may not be comfortable revealing that to a certain group of people. So that can be my private self in that situation, right? But what we are talking about are the absolute terms. The absolute terms of the body, the mind, and then further, what is body and mind really? So we are first going to talk about in the absolute terms. Because when we overcome the absolute, like ignorance at the absolute level, only then can we understand the subjective aspects clearly, in light of that. Yes, and yes. So I think we should move on because
there is one more question.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, please ask.
So I'm doing my dissertation in happiness, and so I interviewed around 12 people, and on the topic of happiness till now. Yes, sir. So I found out that they had this seeking in their life. Like there was this ideal moment that they were seeking for. They were seeking in them. Yet when I asked them, "Are you happy?" They'd be like, "Yes, we are happy."
Yes.
And we'll be more happy when we seek it. So I found there was ignorance about the ignorance. That they were not aware that they were ignorant. So
Yes,
how to deal with that?
We are ignorant that we are ignorant, but we know that we are suffering. When we suffer, we know that we suffer, right? Yes. There are moments of suffering in everybody's lives. At that time, we know that we are suffering, for sure. Right? So when we know that we are suffering, that's all that we need to know. And then we ask, why am I suffering? Yes? Why am I suffering? What should I do to not suffer? To overcome my suffering? What should I do? And then comes the inquiry about myself. So yes, very correct. And Vedanta says this, that Loko Vyavahara is based in ignorance. And we don't even know that. But when we suffer, we know that we suffer, and to overcome the suffering, we have to know this. Yes? So, the question that we want to now focus on. 12:25. So the question that we now want to focus on is, who am I really? So much being said about you need to know yourself to overcome your ignorance, to overcome suffering. So let's know ourselves. Vedanta says that you are consciousness. Okay? Consciousness is who you are. So, very unambiguously, Vedanta says this. And when I say consciousness, what do I mean? Do I mean this little consciousness in my head? I don't. If something hits me, I will become unconscious. Right? Whereas your consciousness will remain unaffected. I am talking about one undivided cosmic consciousness, which is the truth of everything. That is who I am. Okay. Vedanta calls it Chit. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. So Vedanta calls it Chit. Consciousness is who I am. How is it possible? How is it possible that I am conscious? And how is it possible that everything is consciousness? So I have a beautiful verse here from one of the Upanishads, the Chandogya Upanishad. So Rishi was telling me that some of you study the Upanishads here as well, right?
Yes.
So has anyone read anything from the Chandogya Upanishad? Yeah. So this is a verse from the Chandogya Upanishad. The Upanishad is a dialogue between a father and a son. A portion of the Upanishad is a dialogue between a father and a son. And the father wants to tell the son who is he really. Okay. So he gives him an example. He says, his son's name is Shwetaketu. He says, Shwetaketu, if you will go to a potter's shop, what will you see over there? So he says, I will see various pots, some small pots, some big pots, some round pots, some flat pots, various forms of pots I will see. Right? So father says, okay Shwetaketu, that's correct. But essentially there is one. Essentially it is all clay. If you remove the clay, can there be pot? If you remove the clay, can there be pot? No. So pot is dependent upon clay. Right? Clay is the truth of all the pots, all the forms, which we may call by different names. One pot we may call a ghada, the other pot we may call a surahi, but they are all essentially what? Clay. In the same way, this universe is forms, just forms. Small forms and big forms. That's it. And they are all essentially consciousness. So I'll read this verse. Yatha saumyake mritipandem sarvam mrinmayam vigyata aswad vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam mritika ityeva satyam. Just as, my dear son, by knowing one lump of clay, all that is made of clay is known, the modification or form being only a name based on words, truth is that all is clay. In the same way, we have to begin the inquiry of knowing myself as well as this entire universe. Okay, that's how Vedanta begins. What is truth? I spoke about how clay is the truth of the pot. and how consciousness is the truth of everything. What is truth? Truth is that which does not go out of existence. It is. The Gita says, na sat abhavo vidyate. It doesn't go out of existence. It remains unchanged in all times and places. And it is an independent existence. And we will see what all this means when we begin. This is the definition of truth. It does not undergo any change. It remains constant, invariable, unaffected. That is what truth means. We consider ourselves, as she said, as this individual who has a body and a mind. Right? We consider ourselves as, when I say I mean this person. Right? I is this, everything else is non-I. Yes? Now, let us examine this I. And I, really, the body. What is the body? This is interesting. And it's interactive, so you can all pitch in. So let me ask you, what is the body? Tell me.
Which you can sense by touching it or which you can perceive.
Which you can perceive, which you can sense, right? It has a control, a form. Okay, right. Okay, what else?
It's an assimilation of organs performing various functions.
Perfect. It's an assimilation of various parts, right? We can perceive many things, we can sense many things, but here we are talking about this form, which is an assimilation of many forms, right? Suppose I say, I am the body, okay? So what am I referring to? Where is the body? Tell me. Which part is the body? Entire part. Entire part is the body. So suppose I say, okay, if you think that this is the body, keep the body. I will keep the hand, the legs, the head, and the trunk. So, is that possible?
No.
It's not possible, right? So you say, hey, but hands and legs and head, all this put together is the body, right? So, body is just a name for many forms put together. If you remove the hand and the legs and the head and the trunk, where is the body? Body is just a name, right? Okay, what is the hand? Am I the hand? Someone saying yes, someone saying no. We are confused. Am I the hand? Or am I the leg?
Not alone.
Huh?
Not alone.
If I say I am the hand, okay, then what is the hand? What is the hand? If you say this is hand, right, which aspect are you pointing to? This part? Only this part? Okay. So, okay, let's take this part. So you can keep this part, whatever you refer to as this part, you can keep it. I will keep the flesh and the blood and the bones and the skin. I will keep that. you can keep this part.
There's nothing left.
There's nothing left. Hand is just a name for many parts put together. Flesh, skin, bones, blood, all this put together. So we are coming up with new names. We started with one name, body, and we have come up with new names, right? Okay, you can keep all this. Flesh, blood, whatever you want you can keep. I will keep the cells. Right? Can I keep the cells and you can have the body? Not possible. Not possible. Body is nothing but a name for billions of cells put together. And all those cells are constantly changing. The moment I say something, the body has undergone change. All the cells have changed. From birth to death, they are changing. Right? So when do I point to myself and say, this is body? Body is no solid, one unchanging entity that you can point to say that this is body. It is constantly changing. All these cells are constantly changing. And what are cells? What is a cell?
Building blocks of life.
What is a building block? What is the cell made? There is a building block of cell also. Protein, plasma, nucleus, mitochondria, bring in all the biology. So, yeah, and DNA and RNA, all that. Yeah. So if you remove any of that, will there be a cell? It cannot be. All these are dependent realities. Understand this. All these are dependent realities. I'm not saying it's an illusion. I'm standing right here. It's not an illusion. Yeah? But you have to understand this form for what it is. The cell is nothing but many forms put together. It's just a name. The father said, form is nothing but a name. In one line, he covered the entire universe. Yes? And we can keep going further and further down, and we will get new names. Right? That's what science is doing, finding new names for new forms. We can go to molecules, and we can go to atoms, and then particles. There are many names of particles now, quarks and electrons and whatnot. Right? So this body is nothing but a name for zillions of particles put together. And all those particles are constantly changing. The moment I say, you are body, the body has changed. So how can I say that you are body? Is body really real? Yes? Yes?
Yeah, okay, so the body, like, I am not, sort of even within like a normal scientific understanding, I am not.
Neither am I. Neither am I.
Yeah, anyone is not the cells that make up their body, they're the emergent properties that come up when all these cells are arranged in a particular order, right?
Yes.
So I'm not the cells in my body, I'm the pattern of cells in my body. You can
Perfect.
one cell. So
You're one step ahead. We are coming to that.
I know, like it's like this part. It's on.
We've been having a lecture series on Buddhist psychology.
Oh, okay.
So these ideas have come up. Don't give them full credit.
Very good. The lecture is working for you. So, but let's stay with particles right now. So we are just particles. The body is just particles. Right? And you look at any form in this universe, any physical form, from this table to this chair to the all here, all forms. Just names for many forms put together. And it all comes down to particles. And they are constantly changing. Constant change is the nature of this universe. This entire physical universe is made up of particles which are constantly changing. Okay. What about the mind? What is the mind? Come on, you are all students of mind. Tell me. What is the mind?
Something which discriminates me from others. My
Some-
thoughts,
okay.
my perceptions.
Thoughts, perceptions,
Which give me an
emotions.
individual identity.
Okay, identity, correct. What else? What else?
Which guides the functions we all are performing in day-to-day life.
The functions, it controls the functions, yes. So mind is, Vedanta divides it under some names. We won't see all the names, but mind is again nothing but my thoughts, my perceptions, my emotions, my memory, my experiences, all of this put together. If I remove all of these, will there be a mind? It's a dependent reality. Mind is a name for all these things put together. Right? And what is a thought? What is a thought?
My beliefs, my attitudes.
No, that's okay. But what is the anatomy of a thought? Neurons. We need neurons, we need an electric signal, we need a brain with cortex and chemicals releasing, and then a thought is born. And how long does a thought stay? Fraction of a second. That's all. Am I that thought? Am I all the thoughts? Thoughts are just coming and going, coming and going. Right? If I remove the neurons, if I remove the cortex, if I remove all these things, will there be a thought? Thought is again just a name for a number of things put together. Emotions are just a name for a number of things put together. It's a dependent reality. Right? Same analysis for the mind. And we will come down to subtler and subtler forms of this universe. So the entire physical universe and the entire subtle universe, the mind is considered a subtle aspect of who we are. The entire physical and the subtle is dependent reality, is name and forms. Nam, Rupa, Asti. Now, what does it all depend upon? That is the question. And as he said, it's dependent upon laws. Laws of nature, various universal laws which bring particle to particle and create this entire form. If I remove those laws, can there be a body? Tell me. The laws, the biological laws which function in this body, if I remove those laws, can there be a body? All the particles are dependent upon laws. The laws create those particles, they arrange those particles, they maintain them in a certain manner, and it is in the laws that the particles go back. the laws, natural universal laws, which we study in science. Right? The entire universe, this body and mind included, is dependent upon laws. Am I the laws? Am I the laws? Vedanta says no, you have to look further. And as he said, there is order in those laws. Okay? Those laws don't just put things together haphazardly. They put things together in an orderly manner. Okay? There is an orderly creation. Everything is working in an order. If there is order, there must necessarily be intelligence. Okay? So Vedanta says the laws depend upon intelligence. Intelligence is the truth of it all. To make anything, to make a clay pot, you need the intelligence, the know-how to make it. Right? Ghatkarta, ghatarkya. Vedanta says the one who makes the pot needs to have pot knowledge. To make everything, you need what? Everything knowledge, all knowledge. And that is what Vedanta says is the truth of it all. Ishvara. It gives it a name, Ishvara. All knowledge, Sarvagya. Okay? Yeah.
What you're talking about is, it can be implied on normal people, but what about people who have transcended the laws working on them? For example, some Buddhist monks or some superhuman people. So what about them?
Well, we are going to arrive at the understanding of reality which applies to everyone equally, including the superhuman and the normal people. So they are not outside, you know. So this is a verse from the Mandukya Upanishad, which is a very advanced Upanishad, which defines Ishvara. Esh Sarveshwaraha, Esh Sarvagya, Esh Antaryamesh Yoni Sarvasya, Prabhavapi Hi Bhutana. It is the Lord of all. Isha, the word Isha means Lord. What does it lord over? All the laws. Isha manifests as the laws, which is everything. You may ask, what did Ishvara make everything with? What did he make this whole universe with? Where did he get the material to make it? To make anything, to make a pot, you need the intelligence, right? You also need the material to make the pot. To make everything, what do you need? Do you need everything? Then where does that everything come from? So Vedanta says, Ishvara himself was the material. All knowledge itself is the material with which all of this is made. All of this is made of intelligence. This is all Ishvara. Are you getting the connection? The laws are nothing but that intelligence. if I remove the intelligence, can a law be what a law is? The law is made of intelligence.
A systematic way of doing things.
Yes. So intelligence is the maker as well as the material. Vedanta gives an example of how to assimilate this unfathomable fact. It gives a very simple example. It gives the example of a spider. How does a spider make a web? By its own body. Yes? So the maker as well as the material comes from the same entity. Yes? That is the example that Vedanta gives to assimilate this fact. Esh Sarvadya, all knowledge. The nature of Ishvara is all knowledge. Esh Antaryamesh. It is the inner controller. It is because of Ishvara that everything is what it is. Esh Yoni Sarvasya. It is the womb of all beings from which everything has come. So, this inquiry is to understand what? It is to understand who am I in relationship with the universe and the cause of the universe. In my ignorance, I consider myself as separate from the universe and separate from Ishvara. Ishvara is like a far-off reality. What does Vedanta say? All three is one. Jagat, Jiva. Jiva means this individual. Jagat means the universe. And Jagat Karan, Ishwar. All three are one. Where is Ishvara? Vedanta says there is only Ishvara. Everything here is nothing but Ishvara. Another verse, Yah sarva yah sarva vidyasya jnanamayam tapa tasmad etat brahma nama rupa annam cha jayate. That all intelligence, omniscient, is whose energy is of knowledge. From it is born all this name, form and matter. So it is by knowledge itself that the entire name, form and matter is formed. Okay?
10 to 1.
10 to 1? I have 10 minutes. Okay. So, till here have we understood? Have we understood? Are there any questions? Yes.
How does knowledge create form or matter? It can create laws, I understand that part.
And then laws create everything else.
But how does it create matter? Physical matter?
Physical matter, if you examine, if you study in science, matter is energy. What is energy? Is energy physical? So science is proving it. Right?
This is only an appearance. The solidity is only an appearance.
It's amazing. So, let's quickly move on because otherwise I won't be able to cover everything. Now, Vedanta wants us to understand Ishvara in more depth. And it wants us to understand the Swarupa of Ishvara. What is Ishvara really? And it says it is consciousness. to enable intelligence, you need consciousness. You can think of it in terms of your own little intelligence. To have intelligence, you necessarily need consciousness. Right? Consciousness is more fundamental to intelligence. It is constant, while intelligence is limited. Consciousness is limitless. Okay? It's a very fundamental aspect of Vedanta.
Can you repeat it?
Intelligence is limited, whereas consciousness is limitless. Intelligence changes, whereas consciousness remains constant. Okay, I'll give you an example. So, suppose I'll show you a few things. Okay? So what is this? Glass, right? Don't have to think too much about it.
No trick question.
No trick question. What is this? Paper. Okay, what is this? Right? Now, first thing to understand. First you became conscious of the glass and then you knew it. Right? So consciousness comes before. And secondly, glass knowledge is different from paper knowledge. Paper knowledge is different from mind knowledge. Right? Consciousness, constant, the same, through all of it. Are you getting it? It's just an example, nothing, no way of proving anything. Just an example to assimilate what Vedanta is trying to say. That consciousness is fundamental, constant to intelligence. Okay? Yes.
Like you're talking about those things like glass, mic and all those things, that they have different knowledge kind of structure which we presume it, and you're talking about consciousness is constant at that term. I don't get it, and at what I get it is that the presence of these things are just getting by us, and it is a consciousness which it's a consciousness about the objects we are just
right.
So like we just got conscious about those things.
Can you ask the question fully?
Yeah.
Just ask the question completely.
I don't get what you were talking about, the difference between consciousness and intelligence. Like that thing limitless and no.
Okay. So what we are saying is that intelligence is fundamental to the laws, and laws are fundamental to matter. This part you have understood. Now we have to see what is more fundamental to intelligence, okay, which is consciousness. How is it more fundamental? Because to enable intelligence, you need consciousness. Without consciousness, there cannot be intelligence. Right? Okay.
Can you replace consciousness with for the nomenclature point?
Yes.
The awareness?
Awareness. Perfect. We use that. Yes.
Because the way we understand consciousness is entirely different.
Yes.
Mind is differently.
Yes.
Sir,
Yes, please ask.
like we were discussing that what is this body and what is this hand.
Huh.
When we get to the mind.
Huh.
So I was stuck at the thoughts.
Actually, you're still stuck in the thought level.
Yeah. So I feel that the thought, when it comes, so it is originated, right? In me, and I can feel that it is a part of me.
Okay.
So how is it that not different from it?
So, very good question. Vedanta talks about one aspect of our mind which is called ahamkara, okay, which we will talk about after the lunch. Ahamkara. It is the I sense, okay. when I do anything with my body or with my mind, when a thought arises, it attaches that I to it. And therefore I think it is my body, it is my thought, okay? And whatever the body and mind is doing, I am doing it. If the body and mind is getting affected, I am getting affected. That aspect of our mind, as explained in Vedanta, is ahankara. Okay, which itself is a dependent reality. We need to correct that. So you will see that.
So you just said that Ishwar made us with knowledge. And then you asked, where is Ishwar? We are Ishwar. So are you trying to say that we are God?
Yes. We are divine.
That's according to Vedanta again, right?
Yes, that's according to Vedanta. It's the Vedanta's view. If you have an argument which you can present.
Like I've been raised in a Christian background, and I've been raised in a Christian background.
In a Christian background. Yes, yes. Okay.
There are multiple verses which will, agree to this as well, wherein the word of God, like the Bible also says that you are the temple of the Holy Spirit, and you are made in the image of God, and God resides in you. But then, yet we believe that God is in us, yet we do believe that we are not God.
Okay, so in Vedanta the viewpoint is different, entirely different, which is that God resides in us, yes, but more fundamentally, we reside in God.
We do have a concept of moksha. The concept of moksha actually talks about exactly the same view in a way that if we do X by Z thing, we are supposed to attain that moksha. Moksha means meeting the God.
Moksha, in terms of Vedanta, means knowing yourself as Brahman. And yes. That knowing that there is no separation. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. And I think this is exactly what she's saying. That the whole struggle that me becoming a God, when to become a God, in that sense, is a struggle. It's for example, elevation from the sufferings. And you have to reach to that point where you can actually say that yes, I have become a God.
See, I don't know about Christian theology, but tell me, in Christian theology, do you consider God as a person? Do you consider God as a person? In Christian theology.
Yeah, well, as knowledge, as the Supreme Almighty, we consider Him to be like,
As a person with a body?
Well, He did become body for us, that's what we believe, like in the form of
Yes.
Christ.
So it became, like we say that Ishvara is not a person sitting up there somewhere. Where will he sit? First of all, where will he sit? Who made that place? If somebody else made it, then who made that person? Infinite regression. So Vedanta talks about Ishvara as intelligence, not as a person. Intelligence itself is the material as well as the meaning. So on the level of philosophy, there are differences. I won't say it is exactly the same. Yeah, there are many differences, subtle differences, but we have to look beyond that. And when we talk about the process of knowing ourselves, then we will find many similarities between the Christian thought and the Vedanta thought. Yes, but on the level of the concept of Ishvara, there are differences. I think so. Yes.
So, what about intelligence in video? Like, what intelligence actually is it energy? Is it what?
It is intelligence. It is sarvagya, all intelligence. As I said, to make anything, you need the knowledge of it. Right? It is formless. It is formless. It is beyond space and time. It is the maker of space and time. So it is not energy, it is the maker of energy. It is subtlest than the subtlest thing. So I'll just do this and then we'll wrap up. Now, I was saying consciousness, and this is how Vedanta defines consciousness. The definition of consciousness or awareness in Vedanta is given as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Okay? Satya. Satya means truth. Right? Consciousness is really the truth. In the true sense of the word, truth. How did we define truth? Independent, changeless, and it exists really. Yes? Everything else we saw dependent, name and form. Changing. Consciousness is really the truth. Jnana. Jnana generally means knowledge, but when it is used with the word ananta, then it means the enabler of knowledge. The difference between knower and the known is resolved when you use the word jnanam anantam. It is limitless. It is not limited by the knower or the object of knowledge. It is the truth of both. And it is anantam, limitless. It is the truth of everything. So what will it be limited by?
Yeah.
And that is who you are. So I said in the beginning that you are limitless. And now I have shown you how it is. Okay? And the name given to it is Brahma. Brahma means big. Simple. Brahma means big. We use the term big in a relative sense, right? Here it is used in the absolute sense. For us, if we use the term big, we use it as an adjective. Yeah, big house, big car. Yeah, someone else will have a bigger house, so our big will become small. Relative. Here it is used as a noun. The name given to that consciousness is absolute bigness because it is absolute limitlessness. That is who you are. Yeah, please. Okay, just I was finished. Yeah.
I was coming back to the Brahma. I think this the Brahma मैं ब्रह्मा
Yes, Aham Brahmasmi. Unambiguously, Vedanta says, I am Brahma. From I am body and mind to I am Brahma. Do you see the leap of thought that we have to make? Right? This is knowledge. This is knowledge of self. Okay? So we wrap up now and we come back after lunch.
So what time do we meet again?
After an hour?
2 o'clock?
2 o'clock.